Yeah, and you'll probably, thankfully, you don't run with me, but I'll have my headphones on and I'll be running and I'll be shouting my affirmations along the way. But
Good on you.
I feel it. I want to be able to feel it and be really invested in that emotion of
Mm,
really believing that that is my reality,
mm,
whatever that might be. And one of the reasons I wanted to be able to address what I thought was my fear.
mm,
And the minute I see a fear, I sort of go, I need to be able to address that, and I want to be able to overcome it. And
mm,
so one of the things that was I guess my goal was to be able to put together a large amalgamation. And in doing that, that means I had to be able to present and speak to lots of vendors, you know, and and
mm,
and and really the pinnacle was being able to sit in front of 20 vendors, and it
mm,
was a fairly large parcel of land we
mm,
secured.
mm,
And sort of 2 years or even 3 years before that, actually it was probably
mm,
more than that,
mm,
would not have I would not have been able to see myself in that position.
mm, mm,
But it was really a matter of working on your fears, looking
mm.
at, like, having that goal of, all right, what are the things that I need to do, that little bit in piece. And it used to be, I'd start with speaking to one vendor, and then
Mm,
slowly, well, then we'd start with 4 or 5, and then
mm,
growing out. And then
mm.
suddenly it becomes, like you said, the norm, and that is your new reality.
That's it. That's it. Each time you just grow that little bit more, that little bit more, that little bit more. You're just inching your way closer and closer to where you want to get to. And each
Mm.
time you do that, and you go, that wasn't that bad. What was I
Yeah.
worried about? Why did
Mm.
I get myself in knots and couldn't eat and all this sort of stuff when actually it wasn't that bad? And was I in
Yeah.
danger? No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I said this last week, but we're all born as humans with only two fears.
I think we're back. Sorry about that.
No,
Can you
you're
hear
you're
me?
right. I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know if I don't. Well, I don't. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I've got you. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening, but anyway, the whole fear piece is just do it. Just lean into your fear and do it. And it's going to be scary the first time, but remembering that fear is your mind trying to keep you safe. And where this comes from is, there's a difference between fear and danger. You
Mm.
want your fear to kick in where there's a dangerous situation, right? But speaking in front of public, in front of in front of people, are you in danger? Nope. But we have all these fears that go on. What are the fears? The fears are because we're looking inwardly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So the fear is, what if I say something stupid? What if my hair's out of place? What if I trip over? What if I make mistakes? Inward, 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 inward. Build
Yes.
up fear, fear, fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When we flip that around and we say, I've got a whole heap of knowledge and value that I want to share with people, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't share it with people, then all of a sudden the whole mindset changes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's about the meaning that we give to things. The meaning is I'm standing in front of people and I'm going to look foolish. And when I
Mm.
start to think a lot like that, then I'm going to feel incredibly fearful. But when you
mm,
flip it around and say I'm standing in front of people and I've got an enormous amount of information that I want to share, it doesn't matter. We all have plenty of information that we can share, right? So whichever field you've come from, whichever occupation, you've got a wealth of information. And it's about how do you share that to the world. And when you start to think of it in that light, in that angle, then the
not
fear starts to
you, you're
yeah,
going out. Yeah,
yeah, correct. It's like I want to help people.
yeah, yeah,
I want to help people.
yeah. What can I do? And this is a question that I ask. It's what can I do to serve others and have an
Yeah,
impact on.
yeah,
Um,
correct.
and that is very true because I it shifted from my own fear to go, no, you've got more to value to bring to others,
To
push
give.
and push past that and push past what the people might be judging you for, whatever it is.
Mm, mm,
Take that away and go, what can I do for you? What can I do
mm,
for us? Yeah,
mm,
yeah.
mm.
So in terms
One of
of
the one of the,
yeah,
I was just
sorry.
going to say one of the biggest reasons that people don't achieve their goals is they're fearful of criticism from other people.
Mm, mm,
But this is the real kicker for me, is that they think that people are saying things about them. Does that make sense? So someone may not even be saying something directly, but
yes.
they think that someone's saying something about them, and when they change the thinking, they change the state that they're in. So I
Mm,
could stand here now and I could think that the people that are watching think that I'm full of crap and I'm hopeless and whatever. Well, how am I going to feel? I'm going to feel dreadful. Does that make sense? I'm going to feel, like a loser. Or alternatively, I could have my thinking to go, well, the people that have given up their time on a Tuesday evening feel that I'm adding value and they're enjoying this content and whatever it is. And I'm going to have my shoulders back and I'm going to feel upbeat. So just through thought alone, Cheryl, we
mm,
can just change the way in which we approach things.
yeah,
And that's the whole idea around affirmations and visualization, is changing the things that you say to yourself, visualizing yourself in a new light. Whenever I speak in front of people, I still get butterflies in my belly. I mean, I speak in front of hundreds of people, but I
yeah,
always make sure that I visualize what the venue looks like, and I visualize myself standing in front of all these people, and I visualize myself adding value, and all those sorts of things, and it just helps me work through the challenges that go on in my head.
yeah. And is it something where if you've got goals,
Hmm.
is it something that you should internalize, or is it something that you should really, so I've got a vision board, I write down all
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
goals. My poor husband,
Hmm.
I've got writing all over our sort of glass in the change room. And
Hmm.
I'm very much I need to write it down and
Hmm.
have it in my view every
Hmm.
single day.
Hmm.
um and then on the flip side, I mean, I've heard people say, you don't necessarily have to tell everyone, have it in your mind, in your heart, in your head. Sort of,
Hmm.
what are sort of effective ways to be able to get to that point?
I would encourage people to write them down. So whether you tell people or not, that's up to you. You can tell people from an accountability point of view, and so quite often, if we're going to, again, I go back to weight loss, it's like, well, hey, you want an accountability buddy, someone who's going to go to the gym with you or go for a walk with you or whatever it might be. So there's nothing wrong with telling people. You can keep it to yourself, but I'd certainly encourage you to write them down. Write them down. And again, in my morning routine, I'm writing my goals down regularly. Now, I'm not writing, every single goal down, but I'm writing the key goals, right? The key goals for myself constantly. So I'm visualizing that goal. I'm saying to myself in a present state that I've achieved it, and I'm etc. And then I'm writing it down. And so I go through that process, and it's all just layering on top to alter your belief. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
for some people, it might just be one thing. For others, it might be just constantly layer. And I'm going to suggest to the majority of people, it's layer. Just keep applying things on top. So some visualizing, some affirmations, some writing of goals, different things on top. Do it
mm,
consistently. So create the habit.
mm,
Okay. So motivation gets you started. Habit keeps you going. And when you do the habit, that's where you start to get into your subconscious, and that's where you start to get into autopilot.
yeah. I think it would be really cool, and having someone accountable, and that's why you're a coach,
Hmm.
because
Hmm. Hmm.
whether it's a sports coach or a business coach or any sort of
Hmm.
life
Hmm.
coach, having
Hmm.
someone there to be able to go, hey, this is what we're heading towards. Have we done da, 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 all the
Yeah.
steps that we set out and intended to
Mm.
do.
Mm.
I really encourage, in terms of homework, people to be able to, some might be able to want to share and even set
Mm.
themselves goals as part of, their
Mm.
property or business goals here. There is an ability to add a file to the group. And that could be
Mm.
just, this is my goal. I want to be able to do a 10 townhouse site or whatever it might be, and
Great.
lay it out. I think it'll be, I really highly encourage everyone to use those smart, the smart steps.
Mm.
Set out what it is and what you're going to do to get there. And it'd be really, really cool to come back in sort of that 6 months. I mean, we're sort of in the financial year now, and let's use that
Mm.
as
Mm.
a mid ground and say, well,
Mm.
what are your goals for the next 6 months? What can we
Yeah,
look back
correct.
in December just before Christmas? And it'll be really
Mm.
good for us to be able to come back to this forum and say, how have these, people who have set out these goals and shared them with us, how
Mm.
have they been able to achieve that? And I like to think that in, as part of the series that we're doing, that we're
Mm.
going to be able to give them tips, tricks, and sort of, topics of discussion to help people be able to get to that point.
If people are interested, they can go onto my website, tonymeredith.com, tonymeredithcoaching.com.au, and I'll put the link in the notes. And you can download my goal setting ebook.
Okay.
And you've downloaded it, Cheryl,
Yeah.
and it's a basic process that works through how I go about setting goals for myself, how I
Yeah.
go about encouraging my clients to set goals, and it's a free ebook that you can get from my website. So I'll put the
Yeah.
link into the notes, and I encourage you to get onto that, and start to complete it. And like Cheryl said, the end of the financial year or the start of the new financial year, whichever way you want to look at it, is a great point to stop and reassess. Firstly, how have I gone for the first 6 months? I would have said a whole lot of things around New Year's, a whole lot of New Year's resolutions. Am I on track, off track with some, off track with some, whatever it might be? It is what it is. And so there's no point, whinging and getting upset and frustrated, which a lot of us do, because here we are today on the 25th of June, can't change it. So it's now about going, okay, well, what are the things that I can get out of the first half of the year? And now how can I set myself up to have a phenomenal second half of 2019? And what are the big things that I really want to go after? And like I said, if you're someone who hasn't set goals, then don't go and set a 6-month goal. Set a 1-month goal, set a 2-month goal, reload and go again. And then slowly but surely, you'll start building a muscle. Right? If you haven't done it before, then to go from 0 to 6 months might be a bridge too far. So go from
Yeah.
0 to 2 weeks or 0 to 4 weeks or whatever is comfortable with you. All of this stuff comes back to self-awareness, about really deeply understanding and knowing yourself. Like you said, Cheryl, that's why people should look at getting a coach. And thank you for mentioning that. And a lot of people will go and get, say, family and friends to do that. And obviously, take what I say with a grain of salt because I am a coach and that's my business. But a lot of people will get family and friends to help them out. But the problem is that family and friends won't tell you what you really want to hear. So your family and friends will keep you safe. They won't want to hurt you. Whereas a coach, it's not that I set out to upset people, but I set out to hold a mirror up to people and say, well, you know what? This is what I'm looking at, and you've told me that this is your goal, but here's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And and so you as the client then need to assess what are we going to do about it, because that goal actually means something to me, or alternatively, maybe the goal doesn't mean something to you, and maybe it's a different goal. And that's cool. It's okay to evolve and change. Goodness me, I'm evolving and changing all the time. But the benefit of having a coach is that they're independent, they're objective, and they'll come in and they'll tell you what they see, and they'll help you then work on some strategies to get there.
Yeah.
Cheryl, is there any questions in the notes? Has anyone asked anything of us tonight?
Let's just have a bit of a scroll through. Hello, 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 and so Neil says he agrees. So I agree with the fear statement. That's true. We all
Okay,
have
cool.
fears, and how we sort of address them and get over them. Sort of a big part of being able to get closer to our goals.
Yep.
Bit of out. Yes, sorry about that. I think hopefully I've fixed that. Lucy, powerful and motivated. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Eugene is from Singapore. Is my cousin. Hi, Eugene. Eugene's been smashing a lot of goals in the digital marketing space in Singapore. So
Great. Well done. Are we going global, Cheryl? Is that what you're telling me?
Of course, we're global. We've got a few Singaporeans. Christabel's from Singapore. International star, Tony.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Fabulous. So no, I think I've really thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm
Good.
constantly for myself reviewing my goals.
Hmm.
Do you property coach or just business? That might be you, Tony.
Me. So I do both. So I property coach with another program. So I have my own developments, two large subdivisions that I'm currently doing. So I started off back in 2015. I did a course, and then here I am now onto my third project. It's quite a large project, almost 2 hectares of land. But I'm a property coach in with another program. So Rob Flux's program called the Property Development Formula. So if you're interested in property development, then I'd encourage you to head over there and have a look at Rob's site. Yes, I business coach, but I do also support Rob with his program.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
So
whole
with
idea of this thing with Cheryl was to bring, I suppose, the two areas that I play in, being property and business, and combine them together, and obviously then work with Cheryl's experience and expertise as well, and create something that can help as many people as we possibly can.
yeah, yeah. So hi, Nigel. Nigel, another superstar. Nigel has a few new generation boarding houses.
Yeah, great. Well done.
Constantly learning from him. Very, very humble and very knowledgeable man, and he's been able to reach a few goals there too. So,
Good.
thanks so much, Tony. I really appreciate that. We've got well, we'll have another exciting topic next week. I'm
Next
sure we'll
week we'll do it all. We'll do it all again. Yes. So
well.
look forward to it. Thank you. Appreciate everyone giving up their time. Thoroughly enjoying it. And please, if you want to reach out to me, I've got a Facebook page, Tony Meredith Coaching, as my website, as I mentioned. I'll put that in the notes. And more than happy for people to get on and ask plenty of questions in the comment side, and I'll get on and answer as many as I can.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tony. Have a good evening, and we'll
Thanks,
see you.
Cheryl. Take care. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.